My name is Ryan. I am a staff writer for Got Game, as well as one of the freelancers for this lovely website, GameRevolution.com. This is the LGBTQXM, whatever's in the acronym, Journalists Workshop. It is kind of designed for people who want to get into the industry or who are in the industry. But if you're not and you just want to learn more about it, that's cool. We're accepting. So it's going to be largely Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to shout out. I'll be running around with the microphone and stuff. But first, I want to go ahead and introduce all these lovely people and Kevin down at the end.
By the way.
Yeah.
May I?
Yeah, you're next.
I'm Jessica Vasquez. I am a freelancer for GameRevolution.com. I also edit videos for them as well.
I'm Nick Tan. I'm the senior editor at Game Revolution, and I've been there for around 5-6 years.
I'm Kevin Schaller. I also write for Game Revolution as a freelancer, and I've actually posted 1 or 2 things to the GamerX blog, which was fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did that too.
Yeah. I'm the one who wrote
we all
the
did that.
Luigi, that Luigi was gay and that it was really a
course you
terrible.
did.
It was like Kevin's broken gaydar, I think they called it. That was me.
Okay, so am I on, by the way?
I don't
Yes,
even know
okay.
if I'm on.
So I know usually the first question, or one of the first questions we get, is how do you get into the industry, or what's the best way to get started? So we'll answer that one, and then we'll go out to see what questions you guys have. So how did everyone get their start?
Okay. I actually started after I answered an ad on Craigslist to be a unpaid intern. I was unemployed at the time, so of course I took a job at an unpaid internship because they promised free booze and free games. And I worked there for about a year, and then Nick asked me to write an opinion piece, and after I wrote that, I started writing reviews, so I was kind of in the right place at the right time. And it's just kind of taken off. Yeah.
My start came halfway through my university. I decided that I had a degree in computer science, but I think halfway through I was like, you know what, I want to start doing writing for video games. That's my real passion. And I decided that from there then on, I decided to start something on GameSpot. I was like, I don't know where to turn to actually start in this industry, so I just kind of went in all directions. I started something called Review Spotting on GameSpot. They had, at that time, I think they still have it, ability to create unions, which is like just a forum or a group. And we had people submit their reviews, their user reviews on the site, and we would have kind of this feedback where people could have critique their reviews, and then I would do the same for them, and they would do the same for me. And then we would take the best user reviews on all of GameSpot, and then we would feature them in something called Review Spotting. And then I also tried out HonestGamers.com, which is a great place for you to learn how to start writing reviews, and they will critique your work. And that's why I decided to go to Honest Gamers for that. And then from there, I was the part of the figure skating club at Columbia University.
I'm not surprised.
And
Oh my
right,
God.
not surprised. Oh my
First
God!
time I've heard that, and I'm not surprised at all.
And I, the head of the club, named Holly Hester, she had a half brother who worked at Game Revolution, and I was like, really? All right, hook me up. You know, what's going on over there? And they were looking for people. And I was like, great. I mean, so you never know how you're going to get into the industry. And I started freelancing for Game Revolution, and they liked my work. And then they were like, you want a job? So I was like, I flew from New York all the way to this area, and that's how I got my start in, I guess, journalism, reviewing, stuff like that. So.
I just started writing. Honestly, no, it was seriously. I started like a. Oh, was that? Yeah. Well, I've always kind of just been a writer, so I've always written a lot of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that was it. No. I had like a WordPress kind of a live journal sort of blog, and started writing reviews just for my own sake, just because I wanted to, and. After that, at some point, it was about 5 years ago now, I started at GR. But before that, like right before that, I decided I wanted to go to Tokyo Game Show. So I went on my own dime. I paid the whole way. I went to TGS. I was in Japan for about 3.5 days. Very, very short amount of time. and I covered that for a site called Gathering of Gamers. I think they're still around. I haven't honestly checked them in a while, but I'm part of the reason they started their podcast, and I kind of reported on TGS over there, and I wrote a couple articles, and they sent me to the Video Game Awards in LA that year. This is 2008, and I wrote about it for them, and
So dramatic.
Sorry,
having
guys,
a
we're
lot
right
more
next
fun.
to the Slash panel, I think.
but yeah, so I wrote about Tokyo Game Show, and then forwarded it over to the head honcho at Game Revolution, Duke at the time, and he said, "Hey, you're too qualified to be an intern. I'd just like to be a freelance writer." So I started writing over there.
There we go.
And
Done.
That did it.
Yeah, and I'm
Made
gonna
sense.
kind of bounce off of what they're saying, as you never know how you're actually gonna get started. I started in game journalism by my work in boxing, and yeah, I'll give you a second to let that sit in. Gay in boxing, it happens every once in a while. I was a boxing fan, and I met the editor of a boxing website. And he's like, "Well, I like what you post on Facebook. Would you be interested in writing? I need writers." I was like, "Yeah, I guess." And so I wrote for them a little bit. He went and spun off to a game website. And then he's like, "Hey, how do you feel about video games?" And in the 20s, or in my 20s, not the 1920s.
You're
in the
older than I thought you
1920s,
were.
I hold together well. No, in my 20s, I didn't play a lot of video games because I was told that the LGBT community didn't think it was cool. You know, they'd rather be out clubbing and going to bars and getting drunk and having lots of sex, which I am for lots of sex, but I wasn't particularly doing it because I was 300 pounds at the time. Where was I going with this story? I got sidetracked my snack.
No idea.
Just imagine you boxing.
Oh, video game writing.
Right. Oh,
That's
video
right.
game-
Why we're
video game
here.
writing.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't play a lot of video games, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. I'll write some retro columns for you. And it spun off, and I got back into gaming, and I got in with Got Game through Ramon Aranda, and then through Gamer Connect, actually, is where I met Nick Tan. And we started the journalism corner, the writer's corner on the forum, and people started posting up their stuff. And I was kind of running that, and not really running it, but I started it. And he saw it, and we started talking, and I suckered him into hiring me. So, you know, that's good.
Great decision.
Yay! So, basically, the idea there is you never know where you're gonna find your network, but it's out there. So, if anybody at this point in time has any questions about their own struggle or their own journey to getting in, we'd love to hear about it. I'll get around with the microphone. So, that means I should get up.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Okay.
Run.
I'm not running.
Run, coward.
Any questions that we can go ahead and...
There's a hand up right there.
Thank you. I am
First question of the day. Woo!
Hi there. My name's Daniel. I do LGBT journalism generally, but I find that any writing market is like super unstable. Where either
Yeah.
you know you have a gig or you don't, or they're like, "Yeah, we'll pay you. Here's $5.
$5.
Yeah.
Go feast on $5.
A penny a write.
And so you know, I think it's hard finding kind of full-time work or things that are stable, things that are well paid or whatever. I guess I'm wondering if you guys have any sort of advice on maybe finding either better paying gigs or things that are a bit more stable and not so crazy.
Right.
Well, it really depends on who you write for. Like, smaller sites generally can't pay you as much as like an IGN can, or the more marketable websites, I guess.
Yeah. The pay rates really do vary. For I think from IGN, Destructoid, from what I can understand, pays like $15 for a preview. But that's because they have a lot of writers and they can afford that. But people from IGN, we have a freelancer who writes for many different websites. He gets $200 to $400 at IGN, and that's just how the stark difference is. And as a freelancer, if that's your route, if like you either want to be a freelancer or you want to be a staff writer, and for freelancers, the most successful ones in the industry go to have various pitches to lots of different magazines. So not just they're like IGN, maybe they pays the bills, but then they actually try to get the name out there in other places because maybe they will let allow you to go to various events here in the Bay Area, and you can meet more people there. Is any place where you think you can get assignments to Bay Area events for the press? That's a great way to start getting contacts, because all of the same people at the Bay Area, GameSpot, IGN, all those people, you meet the same people over and over and over again, and you just put your name out there, and maybe one of them is going to be like, hey, we got an opening, or hey, we're free with somebody, and that's how you get those contacts.
Yeah.
My advice is patience. Oh my God, patience. Because you're going to get maybe one even email inquiring for every like 5 or 10 that you send out. I am currently looking for full-time writing work, and it's not easy. It is super hard. Just the economy that we're in, there are people hanging on to their jobs for dear life. So if you want to find it, keep like ramming your head into the wall, because eventually you'll find an opening. So.
And just keep writing. Write as much as you can. I mean, just yeah. That's pretty. Like I said, that's basically how I got in. Is I started my own stuff. So just keep plugging at it, even if you think nobody's reading it, because somebody's reading it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially if you get it out to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a really good friend of mine who I have a full-time job outside of gaming journalism, and I worked with somebody who was looking for more work because he was a part-time employee at the place at the Academy of Art where I
Work.
where I work at. And so basically, he was able to get a job with us writing pretty regularly, even though he's not on staff, because he already had a well-established blog. And I mean, even if you can't find work, it's really a good idea to like go on WordPress or go on Tumblr and create like your own community. Like even if you only have like 2 followers, I mean, it's gonna mean something when like you can say, "Here's my blog. I've been writing my own stuff for a long time," and then like it gives like a potential employer something to look at.
Content is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of content. Okay, I saw you go up over here.
By the way, welcome new people.
Hi.
Welcome.
I mean,
Hello.
I wasn't talking to you. You're
You
not.
say too much of you. Oh God. He's gonna box you.
What's that?
He's gonna box you.
Hello. Seems like you guys are all writing for the same site, and you guys have been staff writers. What was your guys' freelance experience like?
I started as a freelancer for the site. They had openings for freelancers at Game Revolution. At the time, the boss was Duke Ferris, and basically, usually the sites get a bunch of product in, either accessories or games for review, and they don't have anyone to do them. And so you have to be very open and be like, all right, my first review was for SNK card game for the DS.
Oh God, the one that was broken.
Yeah, and
That one pissed me off
Yeah.
so bad. I was so angry.
and what they'll do is that, hey, we'll give you a shot, and then they gave me a shot in terms of here's sending me the game. I was living in New York at the time, and write a review for them, and that's my freelancer experience. And from there, I was brought on as a freelancer full-time freelancer, before they transitioned and they gave me an actual paying gig. So you kind of climb that ladder if you want a staff position, but as a freelancer, like a lot of the most successful freelancers, they pitch a lot to other places. I think one pitched to Esquire, and they got a gig there. And getting as much experience as you can doing a whole bunch of different kinds of articles, previews, reviews, features, news. Don't like put yourself into one corner and say, this is the only thing that I do. Especially feature writing nowadays, that's the kind of thing that a lot of magazines want. So, yeah.
Also, just wanted to plug Nathan Munire wrote a book called Up, Up, Down, Down, Left, Right, and it's actually a book that deals with specifically freelancing in games. I think it just came out in the Amazon store, just got kickstarted. You can find
Okay.
it.
Cool.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, over yonder. Oh, they're making me run today.
This bolt for the DS.
Ooh.
I was so pissed about that SNK game because it crashed on the second stage.
Try not to trip over wires.
This is so much fun.
Run!
Hi. Are you
Hi.
there? Basically, my name's Mike, by the way.
Hi.
Hi, Mike.
That's funny too.
basically my question, I launched a YouTube channel probably within this past year, just starting off with vlogging first, and I'm starting to do just individual, like weekly satirical news stuff first, and then probably breaking into journalism in a little bit. When it comes to breaking into journalism, either through video content or written content, when you are about to approach companies with possible, do you have any positions open? Is there a suggested amount of content or portfolio, either amount or time amount, that you should have before you actually approach any companies?
Well, if you're dealing with your video work, I actually work in video editing. I manage a video editing lab, so. Our site, we don't have a heavy video production field. I am the video production of our site. We don't do as much as I'd like, but if you're applying to a site like IGN or Destructoid or a place that does heavy video content, I would create a reel of maybe your best shows. I don't know what kind of format you do, but
Are you trying to have a resume toward a news app position, or trying to get someone to get your channel on their site, or?
Yeah. Well, honestly, just showing that you're making an effort, I think, could mean a lot if you're applying, if you want to do video production for a site.
Things I know sometimes when you approach just in regular business worlds, they say, "Hey, do you have a portfolio of work?"
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if there's
Well, do you post articles?
I don't necessarily post articles. I just ended up before I had been doing just a regular blog when I was doing just one blogging ended up being social networking or social networking and so just a blogger on there as well. And then I moved all my content onto Facebook because that's really suitable for what content I was doing. And then just recently I wanted to get back into doing stuff and posting stuff online, and there's a lot of stuff that I really appreciate within journalism and also just general video content through YouTube, through channels like SourceFed and as well as just general gaming stuff from the Game Station, which is now Polaris, and all those other guys as well. So I was inspired to launch a YouTube channel and then trying to see where they're going with it, and then my content kind of being inspired by it, but taking it from an LGBT point of view, but not necessarily as part of it, as opposed to being
As opposed to being the focus.
Yeah.
Just it's a section. It's just a cross section.
It's not necessarily what it is, but part of who I am. So that's the reason why I wanted to start launching content, because I didn't really see content like that online.
Starting your own thing is always awesome.
So that's
Just saying that content creation is king, and starting your own thing is really awesome because that'll get you noticed, especially if it has a specific focus that you can really kind of hone in on and be a voice for. Then just
And I'll
shop
tell
that.
you from a business standpoint, if you can get even one person to put their business on your website or on your content or whatever you create, people will notice that on the higher ups. They'll say, "Oh, he can draw in people who bring us money," because as much as we don't like to admit it, cash is still king.
Yeah.
So if you can bring in advertisers and you can have one on your site, even if it's one, they'll look and they'll go, "Oh, he knows people. He knows how to network." So that's also a good idea as well.
Do you suggest launching the sites separately outside of YouTube just to make sure that you have those? Because I know since you did monetization program.
It's a good way to have a portfolio too. That's where you can put all your things there.
Yeah, because you can put your if you create a blog, you can have an article and your video in an article. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do video, you can do articles, you can combine the two. There's a lot of demand right now for people who have a video experience. Even just doing people who just do regular writing, just writing articles for freelance, they will just record video as well, and they supplement every article they make with video. So that's and some people, some of these. Places don't even know what to charge for video production,
Yeah,
and so they're
that's true.
so you can just write a number.
Right?
So
Yeah.
$100 million.
Oh, I've been tempted to ask for that.
Or $10. $10.
Buy me a beer. We're good.
Channel was just these past years. That's the reason why when it came to these various time to really start approaching people in general, either through bringing in companies or sponsorships. But I wasn't sure if it was content or time or some of these videos. Some people do like, oh, it's a 1 minute video. It's like you've got 1,000 videos. And like feature pieces then would be like 5
My basic recommendation would be if it's good, put it on. It doesn't matter how long it is. Now, of course, if you do like 7-10 minute videos, they're probably not going to watch everything, but they'll pick 1 or 2 that they're interested in. So even if you send them a sizzle reel that's like 70 minutes long, they'll pick what they want to see. Make sure it's good. So.
And
All right.
you're just as a side note, we try to make anytime we do any kind of video, we try to make it like maybe no longer than 15 minutes because people have ADD on the internet. So
Yeah.
from what I've seen, when things go, it's going to be like spot ends up being about 30 minutes.
yeah.
On max,
Just
depending on how things go, about 10 minutes.
pick your focus.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. I feel like Nathan Drake.
Hell? Is anyone else thinking, what the hell?
It was all stayed. Hey, I'm
I
Zach.
feel like Nathan Fillion.
Zach? Hey.
Yes, hi. So I am a writer, but a fiction and TV writer. So kind
Fiction
of
and TV writer. Okay.
Ooh.
And the first big thing I've had land is a work of interactive fiction for a company called Choice of Games. And we've been lucky enough to have, it's called Heroes Rise for all of you. You can buy it. The first thing, we've had a lot of luck with game app reviewers. So my question is, as someone who's kind of on the other end of the reviews and the previews, is how much jurisdiction do you have in choosing what you get to review and preview, or is it mostly assignment based?
This one's for you.
Yep.
So in terms of like if you send me like a press release on this particular game, it really depends on the site, how much the emphasis is on mobile games. That's a really tough one, mobile games, for the entire industry. It's an interactive like book almost. Interactive novel. Okay. So
So how do you turn to page 65 to find out if you die or not?
Oh, crap, I die on that page. Go back.
It's really tough because not just me, but all of the other editors who choose what to put on their site, Joystick, Kotaku, Destructoid, they get slammed by like 5,000, 10,000 emails a day. I don't get that much. Right? I'm lucky, but it really is that many. So it's writing that press release. It has to something has to catch their eye, and it's at the best you'll probably have like a news something like that, or if you have an opportunity to get free codes of your own thing, be like, here's a code if you're interested, here's like maybe ability to review something, but don't be like oh, you need to have this thing reviewed, because I've had that before. But like, oh, why didn't you review this? I sent you a code. And I'm like, oh my god, really, seriously, just calm down.
Be nice.
Be nice, or else that goes around, because the industry is very, very tight knit. So if that goes around, you're not your publishing site is just like, I don't want to deal with you. I'm sorry, but I think that one of the best things you can do is get like a news article out of it. Be like, hey, look, guys, check this out, and people will write that. So
Yeah. Really quickly to bounce off that, on the journalist end, if you have someone who's willing to give you a game to review and you have the hardware to do it, do it. Don't complain. My first review on God Game, I think, was like, oh my god, I don't even remember. It was so bad I repressed it from memory. I just did a review on Splunker. Has anybody played that game?
Spelunker
Spelunker, whatever.
Not Spelunky.
Splunker.
or Spelunky?
If you guys haven't played it, it just came out on the Wii U Virtual Console. It was the 1980 something Nintendo game.
And
It is famous for how much you die. I did a review based on the fact that I could only play 2 minutes of the game before dying. So it was rough. It was a hard review to write, but you did it. So if you get sent something, I think the only reason I've told Nick no is because I didn't have the Xbox Live set up at that point. I had let my thing lapse. I don't know. But other than that, if they send you a review, do it and just suck it up. And sometimes it's so fantastically bad that you get a great article out of it. So.
Oh, yeah.
My Little Pony, or no, not that would be perfect. Barbie Dreamhouse, yeah, review it. So do it.
I had a field day with Saw 2. Honestly, I had to review Saw 2, and I had a field. I think I did it as an interview with Jigsaw. and he knew how bad his game was because he was in it. So.
Right.
Yeah, the great thing about Game Revolution is that I allow creative writing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had a review. Someone reviewed Final Fantasy 14 when it first came out, and he reviewed it as if he was like a actual person, like passing out, like due to every single flaw in the game. And I was like, "You're right, great. That's a great review." So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember my first review was for Dead Island, and
Oh yeah.
oh god,
You love that one so much.
oh Christ, I had to do Dead Island Riptide too. But anyway, Nick actually allowed me to have like a poem in my review, where I did a parody of the dark tunnel scene in Willy Wonka, because that's kind of how the game made me feel. And I don't feel like that would have been possible anywhere else. So
Yeah.
Yes.
really cool.
Okay, cool. So, given that, I do have a question. So, how do you handle a review if the person gives you a game that just happens to be in a genre you utterly hate? It's not that it's a bad game, it's just not for you.
I think I've done a couple.
You don't have the pawn it off
Yeah,
option.
no, actually, I have had that happen where a game was pawned off on me with Fable the Journey. I don't even know what genre that would be.
By the way, you're welcome. I think I was one of the people who said no
genre.
first. I think I was actually.
But I mean, naturally, that makes a conflict because
Yeah.
if you just naturally do not like this game, but the
Yeah.
game itself is good,
Yeah.
then how do you remain
Oh.
objective
Well,
in your
You
review?
can still look at it objectively. Like I'm not really a huge fan of racing games personally, but I enjoy Mario Kart, but that's really about as far as my racing tends to go. I did a couple F1 games.
I smell
and-
sex and candy.
Sorry. There's screens.
You interrupted. No.
Sorry.
Like I've done a handful of racing games. You still have to look at it objectively. I mean, we just look at it as you can approach it in different ways. Like how I approached that one, I think was how easy was it for me as a non-racing player to get into it. So you can kind of approach it and still have your voice. So you have to use that as much as you can. I'm just kind of saying a lot of buzzwords, I think, right now. But you just have to approach it from that point of view. You approach it like, I'm not a major racing fan, but these are good perks of it. This is a good game.
Yeah, Kevin. Something that brings Kevin brought up a really good point, because I played Civilization 5 not too long ago, the new expansion. I've never played any kind of game like that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this. But then I was like, you know what? I have to be able to approach this objectively, and also I have to feel like I want to like it. Like you have to give every game a glimmer of chance that, oh my god, this is something I might actually like. And if you don't do that, then you're going into the review with already that almost self-fulfilling prophecy that this is going to be bad, that it may just actually be bad because you think it's going to be bad. But yeah, if it's also look at it as a new experience. If you've never played in this genre before, or you don't, maybe this will be that game that gets you into that genre, and then you can start writing reviews within that genre, and you become more well-rounded. And I think that's very important. Depending on whatever review that you get, that you are as well-rounded as possible.
And I think that actually makes for some great articles sometimes. Is if you've never played a genre, Got Game sent me Just Dance 4, and I don't know about you, my idea of fun is not this. But I went and I played it. I reviewed it. I played it with a couple of my friends' kids, and it was actually a lot of fun. And I was very sweaty at the end. And it was really fun, and I was very surprised. And that makes for a great article, because you weren't expecting that, or you weren't expecting that, and it totally tanked, and you'll never play it again. Readers want to see your experience to see if they'll have that same experience a lot of the time. So I personally, I don't mind that challenge, though.
Yeah. But whatever you do, never say in a review, "I've never played this genre before."
Yeah, never.
No.
Kiss of death.
You
Kiss of death.
you ignore it. You just say that you can approach it from a casual end, but never say like, I'm at the very beginning of the review, I am ill-equipped to actually review this. That's not.
God.
Yeah, don't never do that. I've seen that before. I'm like, no.
Like that gets edited out really quick.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Rich. I write for Gamerface, soon to launch, and I also write for Fervor Magazine. It's a thinking man's magazine geared towards the bear community, and I was brought on as a writer to cover most of the gaming stuff. My forte has typically been human interest writing, but they still really want me, based on my style, to cover gaming for that magazine.
Are you hiring? Oh, sorry.
We are not
Serious.
hiring.
Ah, damn it.
But I wanted to know what resources you suggest I tap into so that those reviews are still of quality to fellow gamers instead of my typical uber feelsy wheelsy kind of writing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can you explain a little deeper, like what?
I mean-
you get a review and for a game, and you're like, I'm not sure how to angle this, or
No. I'm confident in how I would angle a piece, reviewing something. However, for someone that does not have that much experience reviewing and writing about it, or reviewing gaming and writing about it, what resources do you suggest I tap into to not necessarily model, but get a better feel for how gamers will respond?
Oh.
Read GameRevolution.com.
Yes. Yes.
I would suggest reading the reviews that you liked to see about. Like, have you ever read like a game review that you really like? Wow, that he really went in depth. You know, that's the style that I want to have. And also, are you writing as for yourself, or you're trying to improve, or you're trying to write for your magazine, Fervor magazine specifically, to try to branch out for Fervor? Combine the two together. You have to find your own unique voice, because sometimes in the gaming industry, a lot of these reviews are really dry, and I like by the halfway through, I'm like, why? And it's because they get paid by the word sometimes, and that's why they keep on going and going and going. And you're like, I just want to know if it's good, please. And I think it's really good for you to learn how to write just reviews also with your energy. That gives you your unique spin on it. And separates you from all the other reviews that are going to be exactly like the same, because there's just so many. There's only so much you can say in a review, so you have to set yourself apart in some way. And usually, it's your voice, it's your take. It's great being actually LGBT, because that's something different for me. When people are like, how. I don't know if I can think of the top of my head that maybe being an LGBT part of that group, whether I would review something differently, but it can be turned into a good like editorial on the side or something like that, as an addendum piece. But yeah, something like that.
Oh, yes, I'm coming.
Well, I know when I reviewed the Omega DLC, I definitely tried to add a little lesbian flavor to it, because Arya is super gay.
Oh.
So.
Hi, my name is Renee. I work on the Cuckoo Club podcast. It's Clerical Errors, but we also do blog articles. I try to do more blog articles just because I know that my strong point is writing. I'm trying to get my professional sarcastic degree by mail, but when I'm writing a review, sometimes I do get stuck. Not because of the topic, but just trying to find that nugget, that really nice sweet spot for an article or for a review. Have you guys ever gotten stuck when you've written a review, and what have you done to get unstuck?
Oh man, if it's like the hardest games to review are the games that are like B minus C territory. They're like, it's not really. It's really either something's really good or if it's something really is really bad. Like, it's really easy to be like, I really hate this, and I'm gonna go off in it. It's like one of those average games, maybe like Born Conspiracy or something like that. I don't know what to, or maybe it's a collection of God of War games. You're like, what can I say that's gonna be anything different than what people have already said?
Yeah.
But I always, for my process, when I play a game, I write bullet points all the time, because I know some people don't like doing that. They like having it just all in their head, and then after they complete the game, then they start writing bullet points. I just want to have enough material as I can, and have observations throughout. And sometimes I go back into my notes, and I'm like, that's different. That's something that I can really look at. And at the end of the day, if you can't really figure out what to do, then maybe that says something about the game.
Yeah.
If there's nothing about the game that really sparks your interest, that really says a lot about that game.
But I'd kind of like to point out, at least for me personally, good games are actually harder for me to write a review about.
That can be hard, because if it's like too good,
right? Like if it's
what? Oh,
yeah. If you're like bordering on A or A minus or A plus, it just kind of gets to sound like the way that I write. Sometimes it just comes off fanboyish, you know. And I want to be critical about what there is critical to be critical about, but I love writing F reviews.
Yeah, for reviews
I
are so
love
much
writing
fun.
reviews about terrible games. It's
Right.
so easy and it's so
They are
fun
the easiest.
because that nugget is right there. But for some of the better games, it's like, what are you going to highlight as like, what is the good point of this game that you really want to focus on? That's actually harder for me.
Now, when it comes to the actual process of writing, and you get stuck and you're sitting there at your computer for like 15 minutes going, just walk away. Just do it. Just shut the computer down. Just save your stuff. Then shut the computer down. And that happened.
Delete it.
Save your stuff. Shut the computer down. Walk away. Do something else. Go get a drink. Go get intoxicated. That's what I do. No. Go out. Have a bite to eat. Hang out with some friends. Come back to it. In a half day or a day. You might be rejuvenated. You might have thought something along the way, and all of a sudden you get back down and your words are flying out. So if you ever hit that block right there, take a moment to walk away. Go play the game again. Maybe I have a microphone. Go play the game
Yes,
again.
you do.
We'll talk louder.
Maybe there's something else that you missed. Maybe there's something that'll spurn something. My first review for Game Revolution was Pandora's Tower. And it was fun, but it was kind of one of those mid-level kind of things, right? And I was like, I don't even know how to spin this story. I went back, I played the game again, and I realized how much Elena annoyed me. And she was so annoying, and she had tentacles. And it's like, where do you go? Why are you even trying to help this person who's nagging at you, who is sprouting a tentacle out of her head? You have to walk away and revisit it later. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, sometimes, like what Nick was saying, it's hard to review a game that's kind of average. And I do get stuck on those a bit sometimes because you're trying to break it down, like what's good, what's bad, but sometimes you're like, is there anything good about it? So I'll just kind of make bullet points about what's bad about it. And I know I can't write paragraphs upon paragraphs about what's bad about a game. But so what I do is, I know it's kind of corny, I write bad jokes about what's bad about the game. And usually the best bad joke I have is what becomes like the highlight of what's bad about the game, and then I kind of just summarize everything else in like a smaller portion.
Although I will say sometimes I write through it. And I'll open up another window and I'll just start writing like I'm stuck and just kind of stream of consciousness through it and see if I get anything from that. It doesn't work well every time. Sometimes you just need to step away. But
Also, don't be afraid to kill your darlings.
yeah.
Sometimes you have to be like, you know what I just wrote, it's not good enough.
the delete
And
key is
maybe
good.
I have to rethink the framing of my review and be like, because usually it starts with the intro paragraph. And if your intro paragraph sounds really dry, then it's really hard to really capitalize on what you're trying to get out of this review. But if you can find that one thing about that game that speaks to you and actually is sparking interest, then that's your framing element, and maybe you have to rewrite it. So a lot of times it's really hard to do that. Be like delete and start over. But I've had to do that multiple times for a game that hovering right around maybe 8 or a 9, and I'm like, is it an 8? Is it a 9? I don't know. I have to rewrite it. I have to figure out what it is. So.
Well, I purposely overwrite my first 2 drafts just so I can delete things. Because I don't know, I'll write my first draft, it'll be 2 pages, and then I'll just start cutting stuff out, and that's kind of how I like to do my process.
I don't even write the intro until.
Hi, I'm Matthew. Non-professional, but I'm just curious as at Gamer Connect. I'm just curious, you as queer journalists in a very special market, video gaming, how do you guys get through that part of your identity when the overwhelming majority of the market is straight male, and at my age, 10 years younger?
You guys want to first, or?
I don't know. The only thing that's coming to mind is I kind of want to talk about. I requested the review for Duke Nukem Forever as a good example of that sort of thing, and I don't even really have a place to go with that. It's just. What was the question again? How do you write? How do you go through that?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of.
As a part of yourself. For example, when I was playing Mass Effect,
Ooh.
all of my friends in the neighborhood who are video gamers most of them were straight, and they were fascinated that I chose to save the guy. Because in my
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not a love interest.
Well,
There's no sex.
you reviewed all the Mass
I
Effects.
reviewed all the Mass Effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had this moment, and they were like, "I've always chosen the girl. What happens when you choose the guy?" And he did choose the second one. It's like,
Right. Same diff.
Like all my dates.
Cry.
Thing, or at least people I know my age are open to hearing about, queer experience of getting married and dragging age and so forth. But I don't see that very much getting represented in the gaming review mass media.
Well, I try to make, like, anytime I can, I try to make asides about, like, how hot I think a character is or not. But, I mean, obviously, I can't be, like, super blatant about it in reviews, or else I'll get, like, the guys on the site being like, this is just about how much you like the girls in the game and, all that crap. But I'm definitely, after this convention, I think my writing's going to be, like, more overtly gay. Because it needs to happen.
Yay, more gay. I think, personally, what I've seen in my writing is gamers want to know, but they're afraid to ask. This is like the second grade moment when you're like, the stork doesn't exist. How do babies happen, right? That moment you figure it out. Although I went to private school and I figured that out in 6th grade, so I was fine. So no, gamers want to know. They know that there is another subculture, and it's not just gaming GAY subculture. There's other subcultures within gaming as well, and they want to know more about that, but they're just afraid to ask. I've written a couple pieces for Game Revolution, as well as Got Game about this convention, and people are like, I had no idea this was even an issue, because right now people don't know that this is an issue. And I feel personally, I can talk for myself, I have a responsibility to show that off, okay? I have a responsibility to say, hey, this is what's happening in my neck of the woods, in my social circle. This is out there, and it is an issue, and it needs to be visited. So while I don't put it in my reviews all the time, sometimes I do actually take the moment to make an article about it, because it is something important. Right now, I'm working on a piece for Extra Life. I don't know if you've heard of that charity. They are through the Children's Miracle Networks, and they are a gaming marathon that will raise money for you guys to video game. If you video game, it raises money for them. And I think gamers need to know about that, because we're so busy playing Mass Effect, we're so busy playing, Final Fantasy VI over and over like me.
Skyrim.
Skyrim, right? That we forget that there are things going on outside that we need to know about. And so when you were talking, Rich, about how do I get around that touchy-feely kind of thing, I don't think we have to. I think sometimes we need to bring that up, get that human interaction in gaming. So that's where I come from with the LGBT thing. Sometimes I will point it out in a game, like, this was really misogynistic. Why did you hit a woman? This is really, this is really this is really that, And people will go, well, why is it even an issue? Because it is, because you're trying to ignore it, okay? If you ignore it, the issue still stands. So that's just me.
It puts a face on it. It puts a human face on it. Yeah.
I was actually pretty lucky when I came out almost to my gaming community first, and then my parents and my family, because the gaming industry was new to me. And the first thing one of the things I asked in my interview for Game Revolution was like, are you okay with gay people, working in an industry? Because I was afraid that there's this straight bias, and that you're like, ugh, you're gay, we don't belong here. I'm like, I was afraid of that, but they were like, yeah, totally, we're fine. I'm like, okay, cool. And from there, I was open with my community about that fact, and a lot of people in my community some of them, of course, were kind of like, maybe get downvoted a lot of the comments, but there were also people who were like, I'm really glad there's somebody out there, because they didn't know that like someone came to me like, I'm transitioning right now, I want to be able to talk to somebody, and they were talking to me about it, and I was like, wow, this is important. And as long as you're open with your community about it, and you don't on a certain level, I'm like kind of like very casual about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gay, but I also play WWE games, just like you. And they're like,
they're hot.
yeah,
Every single one.
every single one.
I'm offered to take some of those.
Okay, so we kind of have to wrap this up, but I am going to pose one last question to all of us. If you can give away one soundbite for a piece of advice for all these fine, adorable people out here, what would be your advice?
Don't fuck up.
Thank you, RuPaul.
make sure you know the difference between its and its.
Oh Christ.
And two.
This is why he's the best editor.
There, and there.
You do not know how many times I've been sent a resume with like, here are my sample articles, and every sentence there was a grammar mistake. And they're like, and they came back to me like, hey, do I get a position? Do I get a position? I'm like, really? You spell even that wrong. Position. Yeah, no. So make sure. Don't scare me with your lack of grammar skills, please, because I am one have to edit it. So.
I guess for me, it's don't be afraid to be honest.
Actually,
So-
that's better than I come up
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
If the outlet is afraid of you being honest, well then maybe that's
Then you
just
shouldn't be
Yeah,
writing
yeah,
them.
right.
Yeah.
So
And continuing along the don't theme, this is apparently this list is don't give up, okay? Because you, like I said before, you are going to run into rejection after rejection after rejection. That's the honest truth. I got turned down for several sites before my editor at Got Game told me he was looking, and then I got turned down for several more sites after that before I teamed up with Nick. Don't give up. It will happen if you keep trying to do it, okay? And every time you get depressed, go have a drink.
We all started out terrible.
I'll second that.
We all started out terrible.
yes.
yeah.
And now we're only moderately.
Yeah, we're gonna be around at the con. Please stop by and see us. We all have Twitters, we all have
And,
Facebooks and things, and we have stuff.
We have another panel at 5.
Yeah, there is a more general panel at 5 for people who don't want to break into the industry but just want to learn more. So come by and see us, and thank you, and
Yeah.
hi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.